Welcome to this week's edition of CT Pulse on the HAN Network. It's Wednesday, November 30th. I'm Kate Czaplinski.
I'm Josh Fisher, and we have a shortened edition of this show today because our favorite ending of the show, Doug Smith, our wonderful cartoonist, decided to take a vacation.
Yeah,
Kate.
Unfair. So no Doug Smith today, but we still have
No
plenty to talk
either.
about, Josh.
It's all serious.
Plenty to talk about today, including some Metro-North fare hikes that go into effect tomorrow.
Yes, we'll take a look too at maybe one of the things the Democrats did wrong here in Connecticut during their campaign season that helped what the Republicans did right to help them make gains in the General Assembly.
That's right. We also have a new governor, sort of, so we'll talk about that a little bit. But first, we spoke a bit earlier this week with Ridgefield Press editor Steve Coulter about a really interesting story that just keeps snowballing there. A rehab facility, upscale rehab facility, has a proposal to rezone an area in a residential neighborhood there, and neighbors are very unhappy about it.
Yes, quite unhappy about it up there on Old West Mountain Road. Yeah. So we're going to take a look. Steve was here on Monday, and Kate and I stood next to him and talked to him about that then.
Let's check. We're joined right now by Ridgefield Press editor Steve Coulter, who's been doing a great job covering an interesting story in Ridgefield, Steve, about a drug rehab facility that wants to open up on Old West Mountain Road in a beautiful estate known as Sunset Hall, and there's been a lot of backlash to this. Can you give us just a bit of background?
Sure. So they submitted the application for this special permit on November 8th, and I did a story in the paper on the 11th or the 10th, and then redid another one online on the 11th when I got to look at the real application because I didn't get it on time for the print deadline. Anyways, I did this story, and all of a sudden I'm getting calls and emails. I got a guy coming into my office to complain, and so they had the public hearing on the 15th to accept the application at the Planning and Zoning Commission, and within 4 days of the story going on, 100 people showed up at this Planning and Zoning Commission, which is meeting which is never attended. Like maybe 5 people are there. Not exactly exciting to cover, but all of a sudden, I'm standing. It's standing room only. There's people out in the hallways. They're very upset. And there's a picture of the room. I'd never seen anything like it in a Ridgefield town meeting. And so these people basically weren't able to talk because it wasn't a public hearing. It was just they were accepting the application.
Which always makes people really excited.
They love that.
Show up in droves and they are familiar with the meeting rules.
It was crazy. They were so many people were like, why can't we talk? Why can't we talk? And the chairwoman was just like, you can't talk. It's not a public hearing. But anyways, so they mobilized after the meeting, after it was received, and so they had set it for November 29th, but now it's January 3rd. The applicant has asked for kind of an adjournment so they can meet with the public, and they've started to do that. They did that on Sunday before Thanksgiving, so they had a public information session with members of that community who are obviously in very strong opposition of this development.
Yeah, I saw, I was up there, my parents live up near there, and I was up there on Thanksgiving, Steve, and was driving through their neighborhood in West Mountain Estates.
Were they picketing?
Well, there's a bunch of signs that out there, all the Trump and Clinton signs that didn't exist before in Richfield have been replaced with say no to commercial zoning, I believe is what the signs say.
Right, so that's part of this is that they're applying for a special permit to zone this facility as it's in the residential zone, but it'll be for commercial use. Yeah. 17 beds or 17 patients would fill this, and it's upper echelon clients. So we're talking movies, movie stars, singers that are recovering from, drug or alcohol addiction. This isn't just, Timmy Smith down the street, some 18-year-old kid. This is some big famous people that would be hypothetically going.
And this is a very residential area. It's about 3 miles from the center of Ridgefield, from downtown Ridgefield,
it's right down
or
the road
village.
From Ridgefield Academy.
Yeah, it's across. Ridgefield Academy is right across West Mountain Road, which Old West Mountain Road is off of. And Ridgefield Academy was a nunnery for years, and then became an offshoot of Landmark Academy and renamed itself to Ridgefield Academy about a decade ago. Wasn't as much of an outcry, if I recall, against Ridgefield Academy, against a school going in there.
No, not at all, really. But this has definitely caused some fervor up there.
Yeah, I noticed because you've reported on this online petition that started, I checked this morning, 333 signatures so far. And them noting in that petition, this group of residents saying that residential treatment centers are associated with an 8% reduction in home prices when measured against comparable homes that are farther away. So they seem very concerned about the effect on property values. Have they also mentioned any safety concerns with having that
real
type of facility?
Real estate values is one, and then quality of life is kind of their second kind of bullet point of why they're fighting this, and they're concern is, somebody breaks out, or there's traffic with an ambulance having to go up there, or just in general more traffic on that road, which is very rural. The different causes of concern that it can happen in a community that all of a sudden doesn't have this, now has it. And also there's a recreational facility that they're planning on doing, so these people are going to be playing tennis and working out all day long, and this is not happening up there right now. I don't think it'll be that noisy, but that's definitely another element to this to consider.
There is a small, I think it's a town baseball field across the street on West Mountain. From similar where this is. It's very small, little, you see kids practicing up there, but I believe it is a town-owned Parks and Rec.
The residents are very concerned about that, of kids being interacting with these people in case they break out. I don't think that breaking out is actually going to happen, but I mean, it's definitely something that they're concerned about. The other thing they're really concerned is that they feel that the process here with the town planner has been kind of questionable. The one resident that I spoke to said that he believed that they came up with 8 sets of criteria for this special permit, and that he feels that the applicant was the one that wrote these bullet points, and not the town planner. That was his hypothesis. Mainly, the big one is that this building, Sunset Hall, was built in 1912, but the Grand Ballroom was built in 1934, and one of the bullet points for the special permit is that the building has to be predated 1935. So it's very specific that they wanted this building. There's some other elements of that 8-pronged thing that the special permit has to pass, but it's very targeted for Sunset Hall and tailored specifically for this building.
So that also would mean that if this was approved, that the next door neighbors couldn't turn their house into a commercial property, right?
Exactly.
Right, because it was that specific. And I mean, just talking about some of the history of this estate, I mean, it's very grand, 22 rooms, landscape grounds, heated pool, tennis court, a ballroom, as you mentioned, with the marble floor. Former owner included the brother to magician Harry Houdini. There is quite a history. Has the history
the actor
element...
Robert Vaughn lived there, too.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that. Yeah. Has the history come out at all? Have people mentioned that as a concern or not so much?
Surprisingly, no. That's actually not really been addressed at all. They're more concerned with their own real estate values of their own homes, and as well as the process of whether the town kind of is pushing this through. Fast track is the word that's been used by a lot of residents. They feel like that it was pushed, that the company Mountainside didn't send out any mailers to let them know that they were planning on doing this, and that it was my story that kind of alerted them to this, and they were going to have a public hearing without members of the public knowing about it. And they also, one of their suspicions was that they selected the 29th, the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, when everyone's out of town.
So now that's changed to January after some
January
of the backlash.
3rd, right.
It seems like Mountainside now wants to hold these meetings where they kind of give people more information about what they're going to do, having seen what some of the backlash was. Has anyone come out in support of this that you've talked to?
Not any letter writers at the press, and not any residents that I've spoken to, no. And it doesn't, I can't really get the town's feelings on it. I mean, obviously they want to have a taxpayer like that.
Right.
That would be great, but
Right.
I don't think anybody's really supporting the idea of having the drug rehab facility move into town.
Now, Josh, you used to be New Canaan Advertiser editor. Silver Hill Hospital, located in a residential area, very well respected. We worked with them a lot in the past. But just curious, did you see any kind of issues with that when you were covering New Canaan?
Well, I mean, in Silver Hill, it goes back, generations on Valley Road there in New Canaan, but it's similar in that it is in a rural area, a residential area, miles away from the nearest commercial zone or business zone. But as recently as it was in 2013, Silver Hill bought one of the properties that bordered it that had a nice, 4-bedroom house on it that they wanted to convert into residence for patients, like, whether it be a halfway house or other sorts of use there. And the neighbors really came out against that. It ended up getting voted down by the Town Planning and Zoning Commission. And this is similar, it's also different. Silver Hill had been there for years, so it's kind of almost anyone who bought their house on Valley Road and near it knew the hospital was there.
Right.
Other people up here in Ridgefield who border it on, and this is on the top of West Mountain, who border it, they didn't probably have any concept of a rehab facility moving in, because it's a very rural area, very dense residential area that's closer to the New York State border in South Salem than it is to downtown Ridgefield. So, but yeah, I mean, but we see that throughout our business, that we always do, the whole NIMBY attitude, whether it be a school expanding or power lines going in. People, Cell towers.
Yeah, cell towers.
Yeah, that's the big one. This day and age, nobody likes something changing near their thing. But I think though that a cell tower is something that we need for it's a public utility, kind of like people didn't like power lines 100 years ago when they went in, or the utility poles, but now that's something we all take for granted. But I think it's different if you're changing an existing facility that's already been in use.
Right,
People
and
kind of
rezoning
knew
something.
this
Right.
would really change the character of that neighborhood up there.
Though I wonder, I mean, such a grand estate, what will happen to it? If it doesn't become some kind of elite,
you can
beautiful.
rent it on Airbnb, $9.50 a night. So.
$9.50 a night for the entire 22-room
I
estate.
think so.
Hey, we should go try it out.
I think it's a pretty good value.
It
It is.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's priced at $4.75 million.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I think it's a good deal.
It is
Bargain.
interesting because people aren't buying big estates like that
Right.
anymore.
What's gonna
Which is
happen
why
to it?
this is what the applicant says in the application, is that it's a white elephant, which has really irked a lot of the neighbors, is that they're using language that kind of appeals to the town planner or the Planning and Zoning Commission that this won't be ever sold, that this is
But
going to remain unoccupied.
in their defense, anyone who's smart and is applying to change zoning rules is going to work with the town
Oh,
planner
100%.
to do something that is going to meet with what the town's plan of conservation and development is. As we've seen, anyone who comes in and doesn't work with the town, they usually get voted out right away. This is a good way to get to a hearing and get people to actually, get the commission to make a decision at some point.
I understand concerns. I'm not sure what my opinion is on it quite, but I do think that maybe some of the concerns about safety might be a bit overblown if it is such an elite, smaller facility.
It'll be 24 hours around the clock where people will be looking at these people.
Right.
So it's not like they're going to be unsupervised.
Right.
And this building is very, very, very private.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
what would they have to gain by leaving it?
Right. But I understand the concerns.
But I mean, the thing is, too,
Yeah.
is though you get people who, in my experience in talking with neighbors of Silver Hill Hospital in New Canaan and covering what happened there for years, whether it was, minor or major, there are people who end up at these hospitals who do want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're not in their, right mind at the time.
Sure, of course. It's a possibility.
Yeah,
That's-
there
Yes,
certainly were,
definitely.
I can think of 2 or 3 silver alerts that were issued for patients at Silver Hill Hospital in my 2 years as being editor of the Advertiser. That's not one every day, it's not one every month, but it happens. And talking to residents down there, they would complain about the, ambulances coming down there. You do get some more traffic than the typical, Ford Explorer driving down the road going to your
Ridgefield
neighbor's house.
Academy, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, and the thing with the Ridgefield Academy, with a school, you kind of have your standard school hours. There's a little bit of increased traffic between 7 and 8 in the morning, and then again at night between 2 and 4.
Right.
But after that, it's kind of gone. And that is, Ridgefield Academy is off that main road, which is West Mountain, which is technically Route 102. Not marked because it ends at the state line down there when it becomes Main Street in lovely South Salem. At the bottom of West Mountain. But this is interesting. It's also interesting, Steve, how your coverage at the Ridgefield Press really helped spurn this
They were very
this
pleased.
movement.
The residents they loved the
Yeah.
coverage. They
'Cause
said we did great community
A
journalism.
lot of people might have overlooked some planning and zoning application, not realizing what kind of impact it could have
Yeah.
if the paper didn't cover it so well.
Yeah, the big telltale sign was the 162 Old West Mountain. You look that up online, Sunset Hall comes up right away, so
Right.
that has to be reported on.
And the interesting timing that Bob Bond had just died within the
know.
past few weeks, and he lived there for
I was
almost 20
reporting on his
years.
death the day I was doing this story, so it was like I
Wow.
was doing the Robert Vaughn obit and then this story, same Friday.
Aren't there rumors that Sunset Hall is
Haunted.
haunted, right?
I don't know.
Wasn't that one of the
we'll
rumors
have to
why
go
he
tour it
moved
ourselves,
out?
right?
Yeah, right.
Is that a rumor? Oh, I want to hear more about that
Take a
too.
picnic party at Sunset Hall.
Get together at $950 somehow so that we can make it out there.
Do a little ghost hunt.
Sounds like a good story idea to me.
Yeah. Well, Steve, the Richfield Press done a great job covering this, and I know there's going to be a lot of letters, I'm sure, leading up to the January
There's already
public
been
hearing.
a ton, yeah.
Yeah.
We've at least received at least a dozen, if not 15.
Wow.
Well,
So those are going to keep coming, I'm sure. And you're going to keep us updated on what's going on at the ridgefieldpress.com. So appreciate you talking with us.
Of course, thank you guys for having me on.
All
Thanks,
right.
Steve.
We're going to take a break. We'll be back with more CT Pulse after this.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan. And you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
At Hoyt Livery, our goal is to always... Sam, what are you doing? We're filming a commercial.
I'm checking out the new Hoyt on the Go app.
Hoyt's here!
Discover a world of wellness in the heart of New Canaan. Halo Studios, New Canaan's first collaborative wellness center, offers you the freedom to choose from the best and latest health, fitness, and wellness options. Inside Halo Studios, you'll find all the wellness experts you need at places like Halo Fitness, Priority Wellness, and Sama Yoga Center. Come by for a free wellness assessment, open 7 days a week at 45 Grove Street. For more information, visit halostudios.com or call 203-594-9909.
My company developed Tranquility Mind and Body Wellness Spa 13 years ago. The building had 2 huge Olympic-sized pools in it. Builders would come, take a look to develop, and no one really knew what to do with it. Milford Bank saw our vision, and they jumped right in. They were the bank that we needed to come behind this hometown project. My name is Tina DeNaples, and I choose to bank with Milford Bank.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Manfredi New Canaan is a dream come true for locals Kim and Roberto. Their Elm Street store features Rolex, Hermes, and design jewelry collections from everyday classic gold to diamond jewelry. Manfredi offers a range of services from simple jewelry and watch repair to elegant jewelry design. Let Manfredi New Canaan help you find the perfect gift to celebrate important life moments. Visit us at 72 Elm Street, New Canaan, or online at manfredijewels.com.
What makes Darien special during the holiday season? Locally owned shops and restaurants where you can find everything you need to make your holidays more enjoyable. Start with breakfast, then shop for everything from toys to unique gifts and the latest trends in fashion. Take a coffee break, stop at our farmers market or one of our shops where you'll find an amazing selection of cheeses and meats. Then enjoy dining at one of our fabulous restaurants. This holiday season, experience shopping and dining in Darien.
If you're watching this broadcast, you're not alone. The HAN network is available for 200,000 Connecticut cable customers on the Frontier Network, and we've also reached 1.7 million viewers on our free live streaming sports, news, and entertainment broadcasts. To reach our rapidly growing audience, contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
Welcome back to CT Pulse on the HAN Network. Kate Czaplinski with Josh Fisher. Josh, leading over.
You have enough room over there?
We're all squeezed in. So we just, you saw the interview with Steve. We talked to him. Now, Steve just posted a news story today that some of those Ridgefield residents concerned about that change, they formed an opposition alliance that they're calling the Ridgefield Neighborhood Preservation Alliance, or RNPA. That is spearheaded by residents in the West Mountain area. And it's also expanded to others around town who are concerned about the precedent that a zoning amendment would set in residential neighborhoods. According to one of the founders, Catherine Nelligan, she said the group's goal is to convince the Town Planning and Zoning Board to support the town's plan of conservation and development and vote no to preserve Ridgefield's residential neighborhoods. So just an update on that story. I've also seen a ton of letters on the ridgefieldpress.com about this.
Yeah, and then their print pages. It's a huge thing, and I think it's something that a lot of people anywhere can relate to, particularly if you live out like in the woods, like many of our viewers do, and here in Connecticut, if something, a commercial property was going to come in near and change it. So it'd be something interesting to follow, and hope they have enough room for everyone at those P&Z meetings in Ridgefield.
Yeah, and thanks to Steve and everyone at the Ridgefield Press for covering it so well. Josh, I know there's a couple other stories that we're following today, including Metro North fare hike going into effect tomorrow. Susan Schultz of the Darien Times sent us a story on that. That 5% rail rate increase proposed by the state over the summer goes into effect December 1st. The increase includes all parts of Metro North New Haven commuter line, including the New Canaan, Danbury, and Waterbury branches, as well as Shoreline line east. So that is going to affect a lot of commuters.
Yeah, it's supposed to generate almost $6 million in revenue this year. And so it'll also, and that also includes they're going to close some more ticket windows in Greenwich, South Norwalk, and Bridgeport. So
is this to get back the bar cars? Is that money going to go for our bar cars? Which I'm
I
really
don't know. I
excited
mean,
about?
I doubt it. I doubt it. I think the bar cars are supposed to support themselves if they can, but it is.
Right.
You know, what's interesting is they close all these ticket windows that, a lot of stations, it's nothing to do. They've closed in most of them.
Yeah.
But even
I have to say I've never seen a ticket window open
Yeah.
at a station when I've been there.
Right, and I mean, the thing is a lot of the smaller stations used to have a ticket window open at least during the commuting hours in the morning, like at Darien and New Canaan and other small Westport. Now it's, you just got to use those big, expensive machines. And hope that they have one on your side of the track.
And that your car doesn't get stuck
Your car
inside.
doesn't
Did
get
that ever
stuck.
happen to you? It's happened to me.
It is, but now also, there is an app too, so you can buy
Oh,
a
cool.
ticket even when you're on the train if you're running late. It used to
Oh,
be
I
you
love
had to
that.
pay about $5 extra in cash. So they are making it a little bit easier if they're not, if maybe they're not getting you there on time.
Definitely. All right, another story you're following is that the Secretary of State calling for early voting in
Yeah.
Connecticut.
If you remember 2 years ago, you probably don't because I had actually forgotten also, we actually voted on this as a potential constitutional amendment in one of the worst worded constitutional amendment proposals ever. And I think, Denise Merrill, even the Secretary of the State here in Connecticut, said that she thinks that this failed because no one knew what it said. She said it was worded in a way that made no sense to anybody, including myself. So
She told that to the Record Journal, by the way.
yes, yeah, earlier this week. So Connecticut's one of the states where you have to have this. I think there's 4 reasons why you can vote early, get an absentee ballot. It's not no excuse. A lot of states now have opened up early voting. Some of them have no excuse absentee ballots, which means that you could just get one. You don't need an excuse. In Connecticut, you have to basically say that you're going to be out of town all day, between 6 a.m. and 8 p.m. That you can't vote. Now, of course, they don't, follow you around or anything like that. Not yet. Donald Trump's not president yet. But so you can get one, but it is not easy. So, but it would take to make this. The legislature could pass a law reducing the excuses that you need to, reducing the limit of what you can get one.
So it's easier.
Yeah. But other than that, then you would take 2/3 of the legislature to put a constitutional amendment on the ballot, or if 2 sessions in a row a majority votes, it would get up there. So I don't know. What do you think about?
Listen,
about
I
early
think
voting?
the easier it is to vote for people, I think the better. I think we did see a lot of people concerned about early voting in this cycle because a lot of things were coming out kind of leading up to the election. So maybe some people wanted to change their vote. So obviously there's that concern. But again, I think the more access and the more ways people can exercise their right to vote, I think it's a good thing. I think it's interesting to note 30,000 people took advantage of Election Day registration, which was pretty incredible. We were seeing videos of those lines around Connecticut. So
yeah, and 200,000 people registered online ahead of the deadline. So it
including
is,
our director, who's raising his hand right now.
Yes. Thank you, Eric, for joining the democratic process here in the Constitution state.
He is an out-of-stater, so
yeah, he's
we
from New
welcome him
Hampshire
now.
too, so he thinks that his vote is more special than everybody else's.
So another story you were following, Josh, is the way that Republicans outflanked Democrats in web campaigning.
Yeah, the CT Mirror did a really interesting analysis of advertising by Republicans and Democrats, as you may remember, that the Republicans picked up 8 seats in the House and 3 seats in the state Senate. And it was dramatic, the difference. So the CT Mirror did an analysis of all 36 state Senate races and found that Republican candidates spent 12 times more on digital advertising than Democrats, which is about 230,000 to 20,000.
Wow.
That's through November 1, which that's the most recent time the data is available. So we don't have the data yet on that last week of the election. But so on average, Republican candidates for state Senate spent $8,000, a little over $8,000 on web advertising to Democrats Democrats who spent $638. Only 4 Democrats reported spending more than $1,000 on digital, and none more than $5,000. And this really was, brought out. They centered in on Joe Crisco's, 12-term incumbent for state senate, who lost. He didn't spend a dime on advertising on Facebook, Google, or other digital media, according to the CT Mears analysis. His opponent, George Logan, who was an unknown, spent $14,500 of his $105,000 budget on ads. And it was apparently very hard, if you lived in their district, to not see an ad from George Logan. Some other interesting things that came out of this analysis was, for example, in Danbury, the race between Senator Michael McLaughlin, a Republican, and Democrat Kenneth Gucker. McLaughlin spent over $10,000 on web advertising, while Gucker spent $329. Oh, no, I'm sorry. The $320 he spent on helium balloons was more than the money he spent on digital advertising.
Wow.
That was $300 he spent on web on
helium
web.
balloons.
Right.
Interesting.
So it's kind of like you think when you look nationally, particularly I think Barack Obama really helped show that it made us all believe that the Democrats were so far ahead on the new era of campaigning that we thought that, but the Republicans really took advantage of it here in Connecticut. And you notice, we had Tony Wong, a state senator, Republican, advertised on our website, and we didn't see any other Democrats or any other candidates.
And people were all on Facebook so much. I mean, if those ads are popping up, you certainly notice them, and name recognition is big too.
Right.
The more you see it, it does get into your head.
It really is, and it really goes. And it's so amazing how digital advertising works now. And we use it here a lot because you can really pinpoint the zip codes or people from certain towns. You can make sure you can really find people potential voters a lot better. Another race that the Mirror pointed out was the 30th district, where Craig Minor of Litchfield, he's a Republican, he spent over $10,000 online. The Democratic loser, David Lawson of New Milford, spent a few $100s on the web. He spent the same amount of money on web advertising as he did on campaign buttons and pens.
Wow. I think there's going to be a lot of rethinking of campaigning for the next season, for sure.
It's like that old way, which we all used to be. Who doesn't love a nice campaign button? I love it. The newsroom up in Ridgefield has an entire wall.
Maybe a plain banner.
Maybe a skywriter.
Nice and cheap.
Yeah, nice skywriter. But it's kind of interesting and good for the Republicans in Connecticut for being more technologically savvy than the Democrats. Maybe they can bring some of that savvy to the General Assembly and to the budget.
Let's hope so. All right, Josh. Well, we are going to step out for a break. When we come back, we're going to talk about some exciting news for the HAN network, a little shameless self-promotion. And, of course, we'll tell you more about that new governor we have after this.
It's going to be great.
Connecticut is coming back to hometown banking, to a partner that makes small businesses feel big, where community comes first, where high-tech tools go hand in hand with a human touch, where you get the know-how only neighbors can deliver, where saving time is important too. It's time to expect more. It's time to bank well, bank smart, bank local, bank well.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. My property taxes on my single-family home were close to $20,000 a year. Now that I've downsized and I'm in a townhome, and because of the condo tax laws, my fees have gone from $20,000 down to about $5,300 with the star exemption. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
On time, done right, safe and reliable. MrHandymanCT.com.
Let our satisfied customers tell it.
I have called Mr. Handyman for every reason, every occasion, every broken item, every leak. They have bailed me out on many occasions, and I would recommend them to anyone.
For any project, large or small.
MrHandymanCT.com.
Why cook it all this holiday? Avoid the stress of holiday planning and let your friends at Walter Stewart's in New Canaan do the heavy lifting. Whether you're looking to fill in with a few crowd-pleasing sides or you want us to prepare your whole feast, from cranberry sauce to pumpkin pie, we're ready to simplify your holiday. Place your order from our holiday menu and spend your holiday the right way, relaxing. Our fresh prepared holiday meals to go are designed with your busy schedule in mind. Visit us at stewartsmarket.com or at 229 Elm Street, New Canaan.
For unique and special holiday gifts, come to Touch of Sedona, a spiritual boutique located in the heart of Ridgefield, Connecticut. We have plenty of unique pieces, including Native American and equestrian jewelry, crystals, candles, incense, and books, as well as an ever-changing showcase of artists, intuitive practitioners, healers, and lots more. Happy holidays from Touch of Sedona, 452 Main Street in Ridgefield. Visit us today. Open 7 days a week.
I'm Frank Granito.
And I'm Donald Ng for the HAN Network.
Tune in to Nutmeg Sports Monday through Thursday, where we bring you all the top stories from Connecticut sports.
From highlights to player interviews and expert analysis, no one gets you closer to Connecticut's games than Nutmeg Sports.
Nutmeg Sports, now Monday through Thursday at 2 p.m. on the HAN Network.
Welcome back to CT Pulse on the HAN Network. Kate Czaplinski and Josh Fisher.
Hi, Kate.
I was going to let you say your name, but then I just decided to say it for you.
So
he always screws it up. But we had a very exciting week last week. There was no regular CT Pulse, though we did speak to both the first selectman of New Canaan and Darien.
Which was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun. And you kind of broke down the numbers of our big Turkey Bowl game last week, and really interesting.
Yeah, well, the headline is that our viewership was up 67% compared to the 2015 Turkey Bowl. There's a lot of things. The reason why, along with that, is that all HA Network viewership is up 38% this fall season compared to last fall. It includes in-studio programming like this and our game programming. We did soccer, field hockey, volleyball, and football all this season. And later today, we're going to be breaking down our schedule for next season, which will be wrestling, basketball. What else do they play in the winter? Hockey. Oh, that's right. We're gonna do any hockey games? I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna do the cheerleading FCAC championships, the FCAC track and field championships, which is always a big draw. So it's exciting, Kate, because about 5,000 people attended this game in New Canaan between number 1 Darien and number 2 New Canaan. Game went into overtime. New Canaan had a great comeback, 24 unanswered points to tie the game and push it into overtime. We had over 40,000 people watch the game this year. About 24,000 people watched the game last year live. So, and we had people from all 50 states watching. We had people from over 30 countries watching. And so that was pretty exciting. We also had over 1,000 people downloaded our new app on Thanksgiving to watch the game.
Right. And we do know that, 40,000 people, that could be conservative, because we saw even at places like the Goose and Darien, big groups of people streaming the game and watching
60 people at the Goose watching the game over there on the Post Road in Darien. So that was pretty exciting news, and that does not include how many people watched it on Frontier's Vantage Sports Network, which is channel 600 and 1600 if you have Frontier Communications. They also simulcast our election coverage that we did right here back on November 8th.
That's right. And I think it was interesting, the age group demographics that saw the biggest increase in viewers was between the ages of 18 and 34. Yeah. So kind of a coveted demographic there, too.
Yes, so we hope all our advertisers were excited. Yeah. We had a record number of ads sold. We sold more than 3 times as many ads for this year's game as you did for last year's. We also had a huge viewership. We had over 10,000 people watch our game last night, which was Darien against Greenwich in the opening round of the state playoffs. And we're going to have our last game. We don't have the rights to the championships, unfortunately, but we'll be doing semifinals on Monday. New Canaan against Notre Dame West Haven should be a really good game. That's a Class L semifinal game.
Very cool.
So,
all right. Well, so stay tuned. We got a lot on the HAN Network. Well, Connecticut has a new governor, Josh.
I bet.
Sort of.
Really?
Sort of.
I bet her approval rating is higher than our previous
Props.
governor.
But last Wednesday, Jessica Broxham, a 5th grade student at John F. Kennedy Elementary School in Milford, learned that she won the statewide election and would be serving as Connecticut's kid governor for the 2017 season. If only our governors served for just one.
Wait. When do we get an adult governor?
The program, now in its 2nd year, was created by the Connecticut Public Affairs Network and is sponsored by the Connecticut Council for the Social Studies and State Department of Education. As part of her duties, Jessica will make appearances throughout the state and will contribute to a Connecticut Kid Governor blog, and she'll fulfill speaking engagements based on her platform issue, which I love, which is the humane treatment of animals. She said she has a 3-pronged plan to do that. She plans to lobby for tougher laws against people who are cruel to animals, as well as educate the community about cruelty and raise funds to help abused animals. Now, Jill Dion spoke to the kid governor last week, so let's check it out.
To make a fundraiser so they can help the animals that have been abused in the animal shelters. I want people to be able to help them. Second, I want to make a presentation to educate all the kids around the state so they know what can happen if they do it and why it's such a bad thing. And third, I want to work with government officials about making tougher laws and fines for doing animal cruelty.
Thanks again to Jill Dion of the Milford Mirror for that video.
And no word yet on whether or not Governor Malloy has promised to end the cruelty to taxpayers that have been going on in Connecticut for the past 6 years.
Oh, man. All right. Well, Josh, we will not be doing CT Pulse for the next couple of weeks, unfortunately. It's going to be a busy season. We're going to be out on the road.
Are we going to become adult governors for the day?
I hope so.
Okay.
But we're actually going to be out on our winter FCAC tour. So we'll be going from school to school.
Yeah, visiting all 17 schools in the FCAC, meeting all the winter sports captain, previewing our coverage and their upcoming seasons. Next week, so you're going to see a lot of Frank Granito on your screens.
Yeah.
And a lot of different great student athletes all across Fairfield County. And our first game, we already know what our first game of the winter season is going to be. We're doing a double header of hockey at the new Darien Ice House, the former Darien Ice Rink. It's going to be a New Canaan game and a Darien game.
Ooh, good.
New Canaan's playing Notre Dame West Haven, which is the same as the football game that we have coming up on Monday, but they're going to be on skates on Saturday, December 17th. And Darien's playing Amity.
All right.
Hamden. It's near Amity.
All right, very cool. We are going to wrap things up here on CT Pulse. Check out Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock. Coffee break tomorrow at 11. We'll see you in a few weeks.